I met Elliott about a month and a half ago in Bryan, Ohio, and then I promptly lost his contact information. I was very lucky to get that information again about a week ago, a week and a half ago, and he had this date open to come and share with the men's breakfast, and then added that as I was feeling a little croaky, that he wouldn't mind having the extra opportunity to share his full message with the congregation this morning. So I'm very appreciative of him being available and doing that, which actually turned out to be on short notice. But here he is. Elliott has spent 6 months in the Congo on the Wings of the Morning ground crew team, doing maintenance for the aircraft as it has been prepared for service out into the Congo, along with the fleet of the other airplanes that are used for those purposes. He looks forward to going back and doing it full time, and he'll share a little bit more about his process and his journey to choose to become a full-time missionary. Will you please welcome Elliott Ott?
Thankful to be able to come out to the church today. I've been doing this speaking for probably close to a year now. It's been enjoyable going to different churches, meeting different people that are connected to ministries, and I really enjoy doing this speaking. I'm here to share with you today about UMAM, United Methodist Aviation Ministries, operating in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Currently, that's the only place the Methodist Church operates aircraft. But before I get started, I want to have a volunteer come up here. I want to do a little demonstration. So, you would come up here? I won't hurt you. Well, I'm going to show you, what's your name? Connell. What I'm going to show to you is the traditional Congolese handshake. The handshake is a very important part of the Congolese culture, and it has a very high significance. So the handshake starts off just like ours, pretty typical handshake. But when you shake someone's hand, you take your left hand and put it either down here on your forearm or up here on your bicep, either way, when you're shaking that person's hand. What that does is it adds power and significance to the handshake. It can actually be disrespectful if you meet someone for the first time and you don't do this style of handshake. It can be disrespectful. So very, very important thing to know when you're new in Congo. The second handshake is more of the young man's handshake, kind of the hip in the modern handshake. Starts off just like ours. Then you rotate up like this, down, up, down. Usually you can do it as many times as it takes, but just two very important parts of the Congolese culture is those handshakes, and really helps you get established in learning about that culture. So thank you very much. If nothing else, you've learned that today. So again, my name is Elliott. I'm an aircraft mechanic. I served as a volunteer in mission with Methodist Church for 6 months in Lubumbashi, Democratic Republic of Congo, or DRC. Before I get started, I want to give you a short lesson on African geography. Found a lot of people don't know much about Africa, how many countries there are, how large it is. Just want to give you a little basis so you can get an idea of where we operate, the size of the country that we serve in. So here's Africa, the continent. Contains 55 countries, over 11 million square miles. It's an east to west distance of 4,600 miles and a north to south distance of 5,000 miles. Located right here is the Democratic Republic of Congo. Here's a comparison to the USA and other countries. Here's the United States. This is China, India, you have France, Germany, Spain, and here. Again, just trying to give you a perspective on how large the continent is. Focusing here on Congo, over 900,000 square miles. There's a north to south distance of 1,300 miles and an east to west distance of 1,300 miles. The total area is about 20 times the size of Ohio. Here's Congo superimposed over the U.S. It's about 1/4 the area of the U.S. Everyone asks me, are you safe? Probably the number one question I get asked about serving in Africa. Yes, had no issues while I was in Congo, never had fear for my life. All Methodist missionaries live in general population with the Congolese people, live in the towns, live in the cities, with no issues whatsoever. Most of my time was spent down here in Lubumbashi, right very close to the Zambian border. I also spent some time here in Kananga. There is some trouble up here where it says trouble area along the Rwanda-Uganda border. There are missionaries that live there. It's just you have to be a little more adapted to serving in that area of the country. So our program has 3 pilots who manage 3 flight ministries and operate a fleet of 5 airplanes. We're going to learn some more about this with a video.
Welcome to the world of United Methodist Aviation Ministries. Even though our aircraft have been flying across African skies for more than 50 years, even today we're one of United Methodism's best kept secrets. But we're out to change that. The story of Jacques, Gaston, and Rukong are stories that you've got to hear. Today they are the heart and soul of an international band of aviators who are serving the Lord across the country of the Congo, a country that has been devastated by civil war and decades of mismanagement. It's their story that we'd like to share with you, but most importantly, it's God's story, and you need to hear it. Welcome to our world. The country of the Congo has just been torn apart by years of civil war and decades of mismanagement. In that, the infrastructure is broken down, and people have just been cut off from the other. Villages have become isolated, towns just sort of operate on their own.
As all of us know, Congo is a very rich country, but infrastructure is bad. The road is pretty much non-existent.
The ministry is very much needed. The road systems here are not anywhere near where they should be. Plus, this country is very, very large.
This is the main highway, I guess I can call it. It's called the N1 road. Comes from Lubumbashi, supposed to go to Kinshasa.
The church, through its aviation program, just shrinks the world, makes people able to communicate with each other, touch each other's lives personally and directly and indirectly through the services of the airplane.
So somebody saw the vision of aviation to reach the unreached, to bring gospel, to save life, to witness God's love by bringing hope.
All right. Rukong, 1.
I was involved with the United Methodist Aviation for the get-go.
I think God wanted me to become a pilot more than I knew I would be a pilot one day.
When I was in my elementary school, I saw a missionary pilot coming in and picking up sick person, taking them to the hospital. I fell in love with aviation and I started observing the pilots.
The thought of being a pilot, it was just like somebody giving an opportunity to go to the moon.
Pilots coming in and out to take sick people out, bring medicine, or bring Bibles, or bring school supplies. And I was among the kids who was carrying those stuff on my head from the airport to the town. My connection to the Aviation Ministry is an amazing one by God's call.
Every morning when I wake up, you look at the life of a fireman. I'm always waking up on standby. And so my phone has to be on the whole time. And if not, people cannot contact me, they're able to contact my wife by ham radios.
In the morning, around 7:30, we have a net where we speak, we talk between mission stations.
I'm the one responsible to do medical flights. If you do not make the flight, you just said no to that person, that they can die. We are the ones that will respond when there's a need in the villages. We're the only ones that are able to do that as a United Methodist aviation pilots.
I explained to everyone that pilots and airplanes and the supporters are only a tool. That tool is being used by God to make a difference in somebody else.
The best part about being in ministry is seeing lives changed. It's still an ongoing challenge. The land is vast and we have real struggles meeting the needs. Complicating that is the lack of aviation gasoline.
Most of the critical needs that we have in our program in order to do the work is to have enough fuel. If we have a fuel for the program, we can accomplish a lot.
The Aviation Ministry was been here since 1960. But what our vision? What do we want to see tomorrow? Beyond me, there is a Caravan airplane that can carry 12 people with a lot of load. A major need today is for the United Methodist Aviation Ministry to update the fleet.
The thing that excites me about UMAM is that it is Congolese driven. And we've got Jacques, we've got Gaston, we've got Rukang, guys who gave up prolific aviation careers to serve their church, to serve their people, and to make a difference in people's lives.
I'm very humbled by the fact that these guys are Congolese and know the culture and understand it much better than I do. They know what really the ministry is all about because they're from here. They've seen it.
Evangelism, development, education, health. Wings of Caring is a support for the church to accomplish those goals. And that is our vision.
My goal has been to be flying from the city to the villages and pick up the sick people and then fly them to the city. And most of the time we're flying people that are really not ready to go to the city. The dream and the goal for now is to be able to see how we can be able to live as a team and we're able to live from the city with all our supplies and bring help to the whole community.
You are not only there to fly the plane, you are also there to share the love of Christ with other people. Flying, especially when you save somebody's life, it is enjoyable.
I ask folks to pray. I hope we go back to the time where a missionary left Europe, America. People were praying for it, against disease, safety, and God provided.
Jesus said, if you have a faith, you will do what I'm doing. You will even do more than what I'm doing. So with little faith, we can change the world. It is expensive, that's sure, but we can do it.
So through the video there, we learned about our 3 pilots. Pictured here is Gaston with the North Katanga Conference. That's the conference that West Ohio supports and the conference that we raised money for the Caravan for. Pictured here is Jacques with the Central Congo Conference and Rukang with the South Congo Conference. Looking here at our coverage area, currently we cover 3 conferences, over 30 airports, over 4,500 churches, and over 700,000 church members. The Methodist Church is the second largest denomination in Congo, Catholic being the first. Down here is the South Congo Conference, North Katanga here, and then the Central Congo Conference here. Recently, there's been a 4th conference formed over here called the East Congo Conference. Currently, we only have the capability to serve into the southern portion of that conference, but we're looking at ways to expand to expand our coverage area into that conference. So our planes perform vital services such as hauling medicine. Pictured here is a load of cholera IVs. Cholera is a yearly epidemic in Congo. We work with UMCOR, we work with other aid organizations to help provide transport to doctors and to the medicines that are needed in the country. We carry sick and injured people to a hospital. That's the primary service that the Aviation Ministry provides is the emergency medical evacuations. We also transport work teams and equipment. And we provide transport for church officials. I'm going to highlight the church official a little bit. Typical flight for us is maybe about an hour, hour and a half. Would cover about 300 miles distance. To drive that 300 miles would take about 2 days. And so for the church officials to fly with us enables them to have more time spent on the job, less fatigue, and it's a safer way to travel also. So it helps enable them to be more effective in the work they do. Currently, our program is the only provider in Congo for emergency medical flights at no cost. There are some providers that do a cost offset emergency medical flight. The reason why we do our flights at no cost is to not upset the financial balance that a local family has. Something as simple as the flight tax. The flight tax on every passenger in domestic flights is $20. Even if we made the person pay, a passenger pay for the flight tax, that $20 could mean that one or two of their children don't have enough money to pay for school fees that year. So just that minimal, their budgeting, it doesn't allow for any kind of extra expenditures. So we don't want to upset those family balances. So we don't charge anything for our emergency medical flights. So what are our current needs? We are constantly facing operating costs. Things such as fuel, parts, taxes and fees, employee pay, hangar rent, and runway improvements. I'm going to highlight runway improvements. All of the runways we operate into in Congo are government owned, but the government does not provide any maintenance on any of these runways. So we take it on ourselves to maintain the runways in the interest of passenger safety, pilots, and keeping the airplane safe. We do those runway improvements. So what we do is we partner with local churches in the communities we serve, and a group from the church will maintain the runway. They'll do the work that we ask for on the runway, and in exchange, we'll provide that church with things like hymnals, educational materials, instruments, anything that church community can use to make their church better. That's what we provide them with. So it helps local people partner with the ministry that we work in. The Grand Caravan is a wonderful airplane, but it's too large for some airports. The smaller airplanes could be used more if operating costs were lowered. There are several options being considered to reduce the cost and dependency on avgas. Now, the Caravan is a turboprop aircraft, operates off of jet fuel. The smaller airplanes that we operate are a gasoline-powered airplane operating off of avgas, which is 100 octane with lead. The jet fuel is available in country, and the avgas, we actually have to leave the country to buy the aviation gasoline. So it's much higher cost. The avgas costs us around $20 a gallon, and whereas the jet fuel can be bought locally for $7 or $8 a gallon. Currently, Jacques flies 1,200 miles round trip from Kananga to buy fuel in Zambia and return back to Kananga. This trip uses about 130 gallons of fuel and adds 10 hours of time to the airplane. He returns to Kananga with about 140 gallons of fuel, which is about 11 flight hours worth, 5 of which he needs to return back to Zambia to buy fuel again to fly back up to Kananga. So it only leaves him with about 6 hours of operational fuel for every trip that he makes back and forth to Zambia. And that's currently our only option to get fuel up country efficiently. This time and cost restricts how much he can fly. So currently we're working on a short-term solution. Pictured here is a mini tanker to haul avgas from Zambia to Congo. Using this will reduce fuel costs, reduce airplane wear and tear, and reduce pilot workload and fatigue. We currently have the funds to purchase one of these trailers, and we're working with the government, which we have been for some time, on the import regulations and trying to get tax waivers, things like that, to be able to ferry that fuel in a tanker trailer. But this is only a temporary solution. Avgas production decreases worldwide every year. Costs continue to go up, and we'd really like to move away from the avgas-fueled airplanes. One of the options under considerations are revolutionary new engines for our airplanes. There's a new aircraft engine that uses automotive fuel. This is pictured here is an Adept Aeromotive engine, V6, water-cooled. It's being developed in South Africa. They're telling us that we could have a low installation cost and fuel costs reduced by 60%. That's 60% not only because the engine is more efficient, but also because we can buy the automotive gasoline freely throughout Congo at a lower price than the avgas is. So overall, education is key. The DRC is a country of great people and good resources, but what is needed is education and training to invest in the future of the Congolese people. We call that ministry with, not ministry for. Maybe you've heard the story about teaching a man to fish. If you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, then he eats for a lifetime. And that's what the Methodist Church is all about in its ministries around the world, is enabling local people to support their own ministries and to continue those ministries when missionaries leave. Missionaries come and go. They always have. And what we have to focus on and what we have to leave behind is that structure for the people to support themselves. So how can you support missionaries in Congo? Become informed. Sign up for newsletters or research what they're doing. You'll see in this bulletin insert, I have a link there for the United Methodist Mission website with points on where you can search for projects and opportunities to volunteer and whatnot and research other missionaries. You can pray for these missionaries. You can support any church project financially and support the flight ministry financially. And you can research that online, or you can ask me how. Also, become a volunteer and help them in Congo. There's ministry opportunities as a volunteer and as full-time missionaries around the world. There's opportunities in our own country, in our own state, and in our own community that we can become involved in. There's the advance numbers there on that bulletin insert. Also, some other organizations I worked with in Congo, and then my contact information's there. If you ever have any questions about ministry opportunities with the Methodist Church, feel free to contact me with that. So, what are my future plans? I've applied for full-time missionary service. My application has been accepted. Currently, the Board of Global Ministries and the conferences in Congo are creating a position for me. For now, I'm working full-time sharing the news of work in Congo and supporting the aviation ministry however I can. I hope to return to Congo in about a year or two. I want to share with you a little bit about the call to ministry. I think that God directs everyone to missions in some way or another. It's just going to be in a different context for everyone. And also, ministry requires participation. When I got out of high school, I went to college, started working full-time after that. Pretty much did the normal thing that we expect young people to do today, and just work full-time, and started to have a lot of restlessness and dissatisfaction with what work was. What's the purpose of the work I was doing? Just things didn't feel right in what I was doing. I was thinking about changing careers, going back to school, moving, getting a different job, something like that. And through a lot of prayer and counsel, I decided that I should try missionary service and see if that's something that I could do long term. So I served in Congo for 6 months. I'll tell you that Congo is the first country I've been in outside of the U.S. and Canada, and I stayed for 6 months. And I found so much purpose and significance to the work the church does there, and my involvement in that. What I want to share with you is that sometimes God speaks to us in ways that we're not sure what He's telling us, and sometimes we have to take that leap of faith and step out and say, well, maybe I'm not satisfied with my life right now. Maybe God's telling me something to do, and what God's telling us or leading us to do may be different than what the world, our worldly view, is telling us to do. So just be aware of what missionaries do around the world, and think, if you feel led, maybe if you're restless or you're retiring or something, you're seeking some purpose in life, maybe being involved in ministry or in missionary service is the right thing for you. And you have to inform yourself on those opportunities and be interested to know about what's available out there. So again, my contact information is available. You feel free to contact me at any time. I'm in my waiting period before I return as a missionary. I'm working in mission advocacy and connecting people with ministry opportunities and opportunities to serve in mission for all people of all walks of life and all different financial standing. So definitely, please feel free to get in touch with me. So if we have time for a few questions and answers, I'd be more than glad to answer any questions that people might have. Nobody. Yes, sir. Were you always a mechanic? Yeah, I've worked as an aircraft mechanic for 4 years full-time and then about 3 years part-time. Yeah, the aviation certificate, the maintenance certificate, it's not the easiest thing to acquire. Wasn't too bad for me, but it's federally mandated time of schooling and testing. So it is a significant certificate to hold. Yes, sir. The Caravan's our primary airplane. The other, we have two Cessna 206s, which are a 6-seat gas engine airplane, haul 6 passengers and just over 1,000 pounds of cargo. And then the other airplanes are a 6-seat Cessna 210, which is similar to the 206, but can't quite haul as much weight. Yes, sir. So the government's generally resistive. Maybe not, not in their ideology, I'll say. The thing with the Congolese government, a lot of people are underpaid. One example is the police force. Police officers may only get paid like $50 a month, let's say, and they only get paid once every 3 or 4 months without back pay. So in the meantime, they're working and they're using their status as a police officer to collect bribes from people to pay their way. For example, I was pulled over I drove in Congo for 5 months, and I was pulled over 14 times and asked for bribes every one of them. I never paid $1 a bribe, thankfully. But these people, they have families, they have wives, children, their kids go to school. They have to pay their way somehow, and that's how they work. That's how they do that, is through bribes. You can almost call it direct taxation. So is it all bad? No, but it's not good either. It's not good for the country. And so there's a lot of instances where we lock horns with the government. They say in Congo that you have to make, they say you're enemies before you're friends. And a government person will come to us and ask for a bribe, or hit us up for this certification or whatever, and we drag our feet on it, and then we pay it, and then here comes this official back and says, hey, I need a flight here or there. I can't get a flight to these places any other way. It's like, okay, what do you want now? You're asking us for money, now you want help from us. And then you come to an agreement. You become friends after that, and partners. You fight each other at first, but then you figure out that they need you as much as you need them. So it can be difficult at times, but God always sees a way through every instance, every challenge that we have when it comes to the government. So, but it's a whole gamut of things that go on with the government. I could tell stories for days about that. So, sir, back there, you had a question?
How close are you on the technology to the new engine?
Yeah, currently that engine that we're looking to change over to may not be in service for a couple years. It's in development stages currently, and we're working with that company to see if that can, through their testing, see if that can be applied to our service. So we're hopeful, but time will tell. Yes, sir.
Transport food to under Angola has a shortage of the crops weren't very good over there, right? And so there's a lot of starvation.
Yeah, in Angola, that's been going on recently. I know a little bit about that, Darfur and whatnot. We don't do too much food transport. Generally, local communities they'll have food. They can grow gardens and things like that. More of the mass food transport's usually done by the UN and UMCOR, larger carriers. We don't have the volume to carry that much, and it's not. I can't say there's mass starvation in Congo. The people they support themselves for the most part when it comes to that. So.
Elliott will be available. He's got a table downstairs in the fellowship hall in the narthex, I should say, after worship, and answer more questions there. Has more information and lots of pictures to share. We thank you for your word today.
Yep.
The main point, I think, is this. Like Peter, we're all broken people. We've all denied Christ in places. We have all found ways in which we stumble over ourselves. We all have found ways where we have failed, and yet Christ gives us the opportunity to be redeemed, to be restored. And the answer, feed my sheep, tend my lambs. They are near and far. They're here in Archbold. They're across the state, down south in places of Appalachia. They're across the country in the Navajo Desert or out in the inner city. They're in the Congo, they're in Nicaragua, they're in Vietnam. They're wherever people are gathered and need help and assistance, and we have opportunity to provide. That is really the message of the day. However we seek to be broken, however we seek to be restored, we do so as a response of the salvation that we have been given. Amen.